Hello friends, Namaskar, this is Sanjay. Welcome to part 6 of this video series where we will be solving 150 questions about Vygotsky and his theories. This video is part 6 of this series, and if you have started watching this from somewhere in the middle, you should start watching from part 1 onwards, where I have explained briefly about Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory, zone of proximal development, scaffolding, and constructivist classroom. In each part, we will be solving 15 questions, adding up to 150 questions. There are two versions of this video. What you're watching is the English version. If you are comfortable with the Hindi explanations and answers, then there is a Hindi version on our channel that you can watch. Vygotsky's theories and concepts are very important in your CTET paper 1 preparation, because in some papers, up to 12 out of the 30 CDP questions can be answered if you are familiar with Vygotsky's theories and concepts. And these are very simple and easy to understand. And there is a strong influence of the social constructivist school of thought on the NEP as well. Therefore, you can solve a number of NEP questions also if you are familiar with Vygotsky's theories and concepts. So let us get started. In Anil's class, children participate in a wide range of challenging activities along with the teacher and peers to jointly construct knowledge. This type of classroom will be called what? So look at the information given in the question, right? Children are participating in a wide range of activities, which means that children are actively participating in the learning and teaching process. And the teacher is also participating along with the children. So which means that the teacher is providing the scaffolding or the support for the learning process. And the peers are also interacting with each other. That is, the students are interacting with each other and they are jointly constructing knowledge. So because there is construction of knowledge which is happening here, it has to be a constructivist classroom. So it can be option 1 or option 2. Now if you look at the type of interactions that are happening, the children are interacting with each other, that is peer interaction is happening, and they are also interacting with the teacher. So which means that there is a social interaction which is happening, and it is not just individual construction which is happening, this is social interaction. Therefore, this has to be a social constructivist classroom. So option 1 is correct. In an inclusive classroom, buddy system and cooperation of learning should be what? Now, first of all, what is this inclusive classroom? An inclusive classroom is a classroom where children from different backgrounds, irrespective of their physical abilities or disabilities, mental abilities or disabilities, all the students get equal opportunity to learn. So that is an inclusive classroom where you include all the children. And what is a buddy system? A buddy system is a system where you create a small group of students. It might be 2 students who will be buddies to each other, or it might be a larger group. So if you create a buddy system, you are saying that, okay, these 2 children will work together and they will learn together. So they will support each other. And cooperation learning is something that you already understand. So in an inclusive classroom, should buddy system and cooperation learning be discouraged, be promoted? Does it lead to stereotype formation? Does it reduce the learning outcomes? So this is what the question is asking us. Now, in an inclusive classroom, if you want to include all the children to learn together, to support each other and help each other, then this buddy system should be actively encouraged. And that is the correct answer, because option 2 says it should be actively promoted. It should not be discouraged. It will not lead to any type of stereotypes, and it will not reduce the learning outcomes for anyone. In early grades, which of the following approaches is preferable for the teaching and learning process? So when children are very young, right, so they prefer to do hands-on activities, because for them theory is very boring. So they prefer more practical, hands-on, physical activities. Therefore, imitation without understanding is completely useless, because if they don't know what they're doing, then they are not learning anything. And passive listening, that is listening to just a boring lecture or a seminar or something. So this does not work for early grades, for young children, right? So this is also useless. Rote-memorisation is memorizing something without actually understanding it. So this is also useless. So for early grades and even for higher grades, learning by doing, that is active learning, is something that is preferable. And this is also supported by Vygotsky's theories, because as per Vygotsky, children learn a lot by active participation in the teaching learning process, right? So they actively receive the information that they get in the classroom and outside the classroom, and they convert it into knowledge in their brains. They construct knowledge out of it. Therefore, as per Vygotsky's theories, active participation, that is learning by doing, should be encouraged. In progressive education, which of the following statements is correct? So when we talk about progressive education, we are talking about a progressive classroom, and a progressive classroom is nothing but a social constructivist classroom. And in a social constructivist classroom, children get inputs from social interactions, they get information from various cultural sources, and language is the means through which they get information or inputs from social interactions and cultural factors. And they actively construct the knowledge in their brain using the information that they have received, which means that there has to be a lot of social and cultural interaction in the progressive classroom. Now, when we look at the answer choices, the first one says learning has a social character. Now, social is one of the keywords in Vygotsky's theories, and it is also one of the keywords for progressive education or a social constructivist classroom. Therefore, this is the correct answer. If you look at the other options, the next one says textbooks are the only source of knowledge. This is incorrect because children get information from various sources. They can get it from teachers, they can get it from their friends, from their families. So they're using all the information that they get from various sources, they construct knowledge in their brain. So textbooks are not the only source of knowledge. And seating arrangement is totally fixed. If seating arrangement is totally fixed, they are sitting next to the same people day in, day out, right? So then the number of social interactions between the students, the peer interactions will reduce because they are not sitting with other people. Therefore, if seating arrangement is completely fixed, then that is not a progressive classroom, that is not a social constructivist classroom. Therefore, this can be eliminated. And the last one, curriculum is standardized. Curriculum can be standardized up to a certain extent, but still the teachers will have an opportunity to include other aspects into the curriculum based on the level of the students and the learning requirements of the students. Therefore, if curriculum is completely standardized, it cannot be a progressive education or a progressive classroom. Therefore, this can be eliminated. In the concept of zone of proximal development proposed by Lev Vygotsky, the term proximal indicates the assistance provided to the learners in which of the following? Now, to remember what is this zone of proximal development, you can look at this simple diagram. Right? I already know how to drive a car. Therefore, this is my current competence. And because driving a bus is similar to driving a car in many ways, I can drive a bus, but when I'm starting off, I will need some help and support from somebody who's already experienced in that. Therefore, this is my zone of proximal development. It goes beyond my current level. It is just beyond my current level of competence. But when it comes to flying a plane, I have absolutely no idea even how to start a plane. Therefore, this is something that I cannot do at this point in time because my learning is not even close to that. Therefore, when we talk about what is this zone of proximal development, then zone of proximal development is just beyond my zone of current competence, and it will be those activities which I am learning and which I can do with a little bit of help and support, and that help and support is nothing but scaffolding. Now, among the answer choices, just goes beyond is the correct answer because driving a bus just goes beyond my current competence of driving a car, and that is the answer here. In the theory proposed by Lev Vygotsky, private speech is what? Now, Lev Vygotsky says that private speech is nothing but a mechanism through which the child does self-direction or self-regulation. That is, when a young child is doing something, then he or she will be talking to himself or herself. And that talk is more or less a loud expression of thought. And the child is actually giving directions or instructions to himself or herself as to what he should do. And the child will also tell himself or herself what he or she should not do. Therefore, private speech is used for self-direction and self-regulation. So if you look at the answer choices, the first one says helps the child to regulate her thinking. Therefore, this is the correct answer because it is what Lev Vygotsky has proposed, that is self-regulation. In the views of Lev Vygotsky, language is which of the following? Now let's first understand what did Lev Vygotsky think about language. Right? So Lev Vygotsky says that children receive information through social interactions and through cultural factors, and this information is received through language. So language is a tool through which children can communicate. They can send and receive information with other people. And also this information is what children use to actively construct knowledge in their minds. Now, language is not just a means of communication, it is also a framework or a process that is used for processing this information and constructing knowledge out of it. So, language is both a means and a tool. Therefore, cognitive development is facilitated by language. That is, language helps the children receive information and also process that information into knowledge. Therefore, the third option, which says that language facilitates cognitive development, that is the correct answer. In Vygotsky's theory, which aspect of development gets neglected? Right? So, when you think about Vygotsky's theory, you should think about the SCL formula, that is social factors, cultural factors and language or linguistic factors. So what is neglected here? It is biological factors. So biological development is neglected in Vygotsky's theory. Therefore, this is the correct answer. In Vygotsky's theory, assisted discovery is aided by which of the following? Now, first of all, what is this assisted discovery? Assisted discovery is where children are discovering something with some assistance. So this assistance can be provided by anyone. It can be peers, it can be teachers, it can be parents, it can be community members. So wherever children are discovering something with anybody's assistance, it is called assisted discovery. So when you look at the answer choices, peer collaboration, where children are collaborating with other students of their own age or other children of their own age. So that is peer collaboration. For example, a child might have seen a new movie. So that child will come to the class and talk to the other children and say that, hey, I saw this movie and this movie has these characters, this movie is like this movie has so many action sequences. So children talk to each other and they discover new things through this collaboration with other peers. So this collaboration can be academic, this can be outside the classroom, this can be on general things, it can be on games. So wherever children are collaborating with other children and doing any activities, then they are discovering something with the assistance of the other children. So that is peer collaboration. Therefore, peer collaboration helps in assisted discovery. This question is asking us, intelligence is which of the following? Now, intelligence is not a specific ability. If it is a specific ability, it will be called a skill and not intelligence. And intelligence is not just the ability to imitate others, because if a child can imitate others, then the child might not actually have understood anything. He or she is just imitating somebody. Therefore, intelligence is not just the ability to imitate others. And just like it is not a specific ability, intelligence is not a singular or a generic concept. Therefore, this can be eliminated. Intelligence is a set of capabilities, and that is the correct answer. Language plays an important role in the cognitive development of children in the theory of who among the following. Now, this is a very simple question, because the moment you see language, think about the SCL formula, that is social factors, cultural factors and language. So these three are very, very important in the cognitive development of children, and that is what Lev Vygotsky's theory says. Therefore, the correct answer here is Lev Vygotsky. Learning is influenced by which of the following factors? Now, you can go through all of these and evaluate which of these factors influence learning, but there is also a much more common sense way of answering this question. Learning happens at home and it also happens at school. Now, here, when the child is in the school, the teacher plays a very important part in the way the child can learn. Therefore, learning is influenced by the teacher in the school. Now, which means that 4 is correct. So the correct answer should have 4 in it, and only one of the options has 4 in it. Therefore, the correct answer has to be option 4. So this is the correct answer. If you look at the other things, teacher related factors influence learning. This is what we have seen is correct. Then school related, because the type of school, the facilities that are there in the school will influence learning to a large extent. Therefore, this is also correct. Socio-cultural factors influence learning, because this is what Vygotsky's theory says. So this is also correct. And psychological factor, in the sense if the child is already very afraid of something, then he or she may not learn a lot of things. Whereas the child is very happy and is in a mood to learn, then the child might learn a lot of things. Therefore, psychological factors will also influence or affect learning. Therefore, 1, 2, 3 and 4, all of them should be in the answer choice. Therefore, even if we evaluate all of them individually, then also option 4 is the correct answer. Lev Vygotsky offered a theory of cognitive development along the principle of which of the following? Now this is a very simple question, because the moment you think of Lev Vygotsky, you should think about social constructivism. Therefore, that is the correct answer. Lev Vygotsky believed in which of the following? Now, if you look at Lev Vygotsky's theory, he is from the social constructivist school of thought, and Lev Vygotsky says that children receive information from social factors and cultural factors through the use of language, and they will process or convert or construct this information into knowledge in their mind, and this is an active process. So when you look at all the answer choices, learning is not just merely absorption of knowledge, because children have to construct the knowledge from the information that they receive, and learning is not just a controlled response to rewards, because this is behavioralism or behavioral training and not learning as per Vygotsky's theory. And knowledge can be transmitted in a passive manner. No, passive is a negative keyword. As soon as you see passive, you can eliminate this answer choice, because learning as per Vygotsky's theory is an active process. So the last option says knowledge is co-constructed in a zone of what the child can do independently and with the support of others. So with the support of others is zone of proximal development. In any case, when we see that knowledge is constructed or co-constructed, this should give you a clue that this is the correct answer to this question. Lev Vygotsky considers which factors to be important in influencing the cognitive development of children? Very simple question, because if you look at all the answer choices, they have two options each, right? So which means that we have to select 2 among these 4. Now, because we are talking about Lev Vygotsky, think about the SCL formula, that is social factors, cultural factors and language. So these are the 3 things which are part and parcel of Lev Vygotsky's theory. Therefore, culture and language, that is 1 and 2, are the choices that we have to pick, because culture and language are part of Lev Vygotsky's theory. Therefore, 1 and 2, that is option 1 is the correct answer. So with that, we have completed the 15 questions in this part, and I will see you again in the next part for the next 15 questions. If you have any comments, questions or feedback, please post them in the comments below, and the rest you know what to do. So I'll see you soon again in the next part. Till then, take care, stay safe.